carrying proper running lights. They're carrying all sorts of crazy lights, but they're not the running lights prescribed by the FAA or International Civil Aviation Authority, which is based in Montreal, so I should really be upset about this. At any rate, they are trespassers and should be treated as trespassers. Not all trespassers are unwelcome. We own 40 acres in upstate New York, and on that property, our neighbors, we were willing to have them do this, have posted, no trespassing, posted, no hunting, shooting on this land, namely because our land is close enough to other people's houses. They don't want bullets flying by, and I'm perfectly sympathetic with that. But you can post your private property, and you can tell people to stay off or use it under only restricted conditions. And we should do that. We should make it clear to people flying UFOs that they should get the hell out of restricted areas, a la Stephenville. They should stay where they're wanted. They should come and get a license if they want one, and we should talk to them. I have no objection to that. Trespassers might be welcome, but they might be unwelcome, but we should know. Now, I don't know how to keep the trespassers off, and I don't want the American government to tell me, because I don't care what kind of weapons they use to warn off trespassers. I don't want them to do anything other than warn them off. First of all, we well know on the basis of past evidence that shooting missiles at them doesn't work. Shooting bullets at them doesn't work. That's been tried. So something else must be possible. I have no doubt something else is possible. And I don't think it should be used in a hostile way. I think it should be used in an admonitory way. So my public policy goals are to have the U.S. government provide enough public information about UFO presence, possibly the same information we have and that you are providing, or we are collectively providing, so that we can have a public debate on the subject. And secondly, that the U.S. act, hopefully in concert with other governments, to make it clear that the Earth is posted, that you're welcome on our terms but not on your terms. And I think that's essential. Granted, these people are technologically more advanced than we are. Can't deny it. We're not the smartest kids on the block. Some of them might not be either. It just happens to be there in our neighborhood. They're cruising the neighborhood either out of curiosity, and we cruise neighborhoods out of curiosity. I was certainly curious about Las Vegas when I got lost in it on Friday trying to get here. And those things are acceptable. But we have to make sure they know we're here and we want them here only on our terms, if possible. And my goal in this talk was to suggest that a public policy goal for the United States and for American citizens and Canadian citizens should be that governments of this continent and elsewhere are willing to hold open conversations with their publics about what they know, not technically, not militarily, but simply on an observational basis, and their observational strengths are greater than ours, about what's going on. I think that would be a very good thing if they did. Where are they from? I don't know. And neither do any of us, except as everyone just about who's talked to you this convention has said, there are now thousands of possibilities. And here's an American scientist illustration numbering some of the possibilities, indicating what size stars and what size planets there are, and we all know about this because everybody has talked about it so far. Beyond that, I have very little to say, except this work is never done in isolation. Very much like conventional science, where everybody is standing on the shoulders of giants, which is what Newton said himself, everyone in this enterprise is standing on the shoulders of other people. And I've just written the names here of some of those people whom I know, and I've met a couple of more today that I didn't know, or today in the last couple of days. So this is definitely a collaborative effort in which every little piece helps, and my hope and sincere wish is that this becomes a publicly acknowledged collaborative effort that we all, not just MUFON, but even the New York Times, will eventually decide is worth talking about. Thank you very much. I'll be glad to answer questions. I can't see anybody, so if you have a, okay.
Did you ever compare your symbols to Jesse Jr.? You got a microphone up here.
It's not on.
There you go. Good morning and thank you. My name is Andy Baden from White Plains, New York, and the only question I have is, were your symbols ever compared to the ones Jesse Jr. drew when he saw that I-beam?
When he saw the what?
When he saw it, when his father showed him the I-beam. There were symbols on that.
No. I haven't compared with that. No. That's a good question. The answer is no. I could put those in another experiment. Okay, thank you.
I'd appreciate that. Maybe the next time I see you, you'll have an answer.
Maybe
Thank
I
you.
will. I hope so.
Hello. The scientific approach demands reproducibility. Most of the UFO events seem to be one-of events. Most instances are anecdotal. Can you say something about the UFO experience being accepted by the scientific community and what I just said about what constitutes the scientific way, reproducibility?
Yes, I can. First of all, I disagree with you that all UFO events are irreproducible or anecdotal. Consistent observations, anecdotal from one person, consistent from a dozen people, are no longer anecdotal. They are observational evidence reported by humans. And psychologists use that kind of evidence in dealing with clients, in dealing with phenomena. Science dealt with observational evidence, sometimes added to by photographs in the late 19th and early and 20th century. Before that, drawings, Galileo's pictures of moons around Jupiter through a telescope, long before there was anything as sophisticated as radar, which has provided UFO data, video cameras, which have provided UFO data. So I completely disagree with the proposition that all UFO data are anecdotal and that they're not reproducible. They are consistent and reproducible. That's my answer.
Actually, I have a couple of questions. I'm going to cheat and have to ask two. One of them is, can you comment on the possibility of doing kind of cryptographic or linguistic analysis of some of the symbols? Because as a researcher myself, several clients I've had have also drawn these, and I put one of them up on the Star Team the Facebook page, the actual description of the actual photograph of the symbols that the person drew in trance. Can you comment on the possibility of doing kind of cryptographic or linguistic analysis on that?
I can comment. It sounds like a great idea, but I'm not the person to do it.
Are you aware of any possibilities of that?
No, I'm not. I don't think not anything I know about is being done. Okay. These symbols usually come in sets of maybe 10 or 15, and that's what I've got. Maybe some sets with 4 or 5 symbols, some with 10 or 15.
Okay.
Never much more. And I don't know how to do that myself. I'd be delighted to cooperate with anybody who does.
Right.
And what they would get out of that, I don't know. But that's not my game.
Okay.
I think it's somebody else's game, and more power to them. If you know anybody, let them call me. I'd be glad.
I'd love to find one
glad
myself.
to talk.
I'm going to throw in a quick, and then I'll walk away. You talked about asserting sovereignty over Earth, essentially. Is that, in one possibility, is that what sort of, in a way, maybe our military-industrial complex is trying to do, is establish essentially a military fence around Earth?
Well, I don't know.
And is there some kind of can you comment on that, one way or the other, any ramifications or anything?
I love to stay away from commenting on things I don't know anything about.
Okay.
All
right.
The answer is possibly, but I don't know. Okay. And secondly, I hope they are, but I wish they'd tell us.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
You showed a very impressive ability to discriminate between apparently real abductions and controls. However, you did not mention any of the questions of the 65 questions that actually help that discrimination. Is that because that oversimplifies the process, or because you don't want to let those questions be known because that would affect future research?
Both. I don't want to let them be known so they won't contaminate future research, and it would have taken too long to explain what they were about. Both. Okay.
Hi. If UFOs have been around for hundreds, maybe thousands, maybe millions of years, before the Declaration of Independence, before Lewis and Clark, before we set borders, how can we say that they are trespassing on our planet? I mean, do we own the moon? Do we own the solar system? Is this our Milky Way? Who owns the Earth, really? I mean, the borders are being in dispute to this very day. And so this idea that we set a border and we decide that nobody else could come on. Now we can enforce it against Mexico, let's say, but you try. I mean, when the military was told to shoot down if they don't land upon command, remember? The United States said if the UFOs do not land when instructed to, we should go and shoot them down. And we were losing at one time approximately one plane a day. So the idea that we own the Earth, we own, I mean, even if I bought a piece of property, I don't own the mineral rights down to the center of the Earth. I don't own the airspace all the way up to the moon. So this idea that they are trespassing on our planet and our solar system, and they are violating our moon because we planted a flag. I mean, I think that that's what do you think about this idea of trespassing?
I think it's a great idea. I believe it, 100%. I disagree with you. First of all, I don't know how long ago they came here. My knowledge goes back to 1947. And some other people, scholars, have pointed this out to the mid-19th century. We have established rough rules for territorial autonomy on Earth. That territorial autonomy also includes the airspace over our respective countries. We agree by international treaty, most of the time, how to conduct ourselves across international borders. And as far as I'm concerned, those are good rules for dealing with the property on Earth. And I think the United Nations, I mean that in the general sense, not the specific organizational sense, have an obligation among themselves to protect their property against possible hostile trespassers from Mexico, if you like, or from above. So I disagree completely with you.
But they never ratified it. They never okayed our treaty, so they're not part of our rules. We can't set rules that they don't verify.
I disagree with you. We set the rules. It's our planet.
Can I answer that for a second? I apologize. I apologize. This is not about property. This is about free will. And I agree with you 100% that people should be abiding by our guidelines, regardless of where they're from. It doesn't matter. According to free will, according to karma, according to universal law, they should be abiding by our guidelines, regardless of how primitive or how advanced we are. It doesn't matter. They should be very respectful of who we are and of our guidelines. Absolutely. Thank you.
Oh, okay.
Hi, good morning. Your discussion of scientific method required a theory. What do you call scientists, other than crackpots, who work on established phenomenon that have no theory yet?
In the 19th century, they would have been savants. They would have been respected contributors to their field. And I respect people who do that. All I was saying was that in the structure of establishment science, there is very little place for people like that. That doesn't mean they shouldn't work. That doesn't mean if they have independent source of money, they shouldn't do what they're doing. I'm all for it. I was just pointing out as a descriptor, not as an endorser, of how modern science actually works. And I didn't get that idea out of my head. I got it out of Thomas Kuhn's head.
Yes.
So I'm not disagreeing that working independently on anomalous phenomena is a good thing. It's a great thing. It should be better supported.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Well, thank you very much. I'll be happy to sign books in the vendor room shortly. Thanks. Okay. Okay.
Okay, so check. So, like Dr. Bonderi just said, we will be heading over to the vendor room. So if